Creative finance is nothing but an umbrella with dozens of terms underneath it. The two most popular terms underneath creative finance umbrella is subject to and seller finance. Now there's other terms like lease option, contract for deed. I won't go into it, it's too confusing. Let's just keep it to subject to and seller finance. What's the difference between subject to and seller finance? Well, I've made multiple videos about this, but today we're just gonna do basic level. What subject to is taking over payments on somebody else's deal, somebody else's house, somebody else's business, somebody else's phone, somebody else's car. I'm taking over payments. Okay, well, let's talk about this as a car. Let's go to Craigslist, for example. I go on Craigslist and I look for the cheapest car possible. I find a car on there for $500. I could buy a car right now on Craigslist for $500. I almost could guarantee it. Maybe one of my editors could go on Craigslist, find a car that's $500. Chances are there are no payments due on this car. It's probably been paid off for 30 years. It's a jalopy whatever deal. Well, that's pretty simple. I can just go to the seller and go, looks like you want to sell that car for $500. Okay, would you take $1 a month for 500 months? The seller's gonna say, no way, I would not do $1 a month for 500 months. Okay, would you do $50 a month for 10 months? Seller would probably go, yeah, as long as you give me $500, the answer is yes. Well, guys, there's no payment for me to take over. I'm creating a payment. So when I'm creating the payment, the seller becomes my bank and I make payments to that seller because they are my bank. The seller has therefore seller financed me. They have financed me. They say, you make payments to me and I am therefore financing you. I go on Craigslist and I go find, let's say a 2025 Ford F-150, things like $85,000. The chances are that person has payments on that truck. So when I'm calling that seller and saying, hey, would you let me do seller finance? Likelihood that seller cannot do seller finance because they have a debt attached to it. Therefore, they would have to do subject to. Subject to means I'm just taking over the existing payments that the seller has in place. I'm buying that truck subject to their existing loan. It's that simple. So seller finance means the deal or the house or the car or the business is completely paid off. There's no debt. The seller is therefore structuring unique payments with me. Purchase price, down payment, interest rate, and length of time. That's what terms are. Those four things are what make up terms. Now, if the F-150, he has a loan already sitting on that F-150, chances are I'm not gonna go to that seller and go, hey seller, give me a lower interest rate, give me a lower payment. Sorry, that payment already exists. It's already been negotiated with the bank. There's no negotiating on a subject to deal. The debt is already in place. It already has a length of time that's predetermined, an interest rate that's predetermined, a payment that's predetermined. So subject to is a predetermined, already existing loan that you are taking over payments on. Seller finance has not been determined and requires unique conversations with you and the seller to determine those four things. Purchase price, down payment, interest rate, and length of time. Sometimes these sellers are going to ask for a down payment. Sometimes they're going to ask for a little bit of money to make sure they feel secure. This is where gators come into the story. And so you'll see a lot of these conversations being talked about with gators. Difference between maybe one of my sub-2 students, the people who are learning how to do creative finance, they are out finding deals, okay? That's what the sub-2 community does, is they find deals. The gators are funding those deals. And so I teach people how to create wealth, cash, lines of credit, so they can go and fund deals for sub-2 students. It's a great, beautiful, harmonious relationship. So a lot of people don't want to own property. A lot of people just go, I want to lend money. In fact, that's one of the best ways to make money is to just sell money. Imagine if you're a gator and you had access to millions of dollars, which I teach, and you could fund any sub-2 and seller finance student on any of the deals that they are acquiring. You could even make chunks of money up front, you could make monthly money, or you could even insert yourself as an equity partner on these deals, which would be pretty amazing. So if you want to learn how gators are making money in these real estate transactions and get a little bit deeper dive, then click the video on your screen.